Hey, Steve Shim, I'm here, Laugh With podcast, and today I'm so thrilled to introduce one of my dearest friends. We are going to laugh with Mike Gonzalez. I want to give a little tee up for Mike, and then we're going to just chop it up as he likes to say, and I like to say. Man, it's good to see you, Mike. I'm still introducing you, so you stop it right now. Mike Gonzalez, for 10 years, going on his 11th season, is with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He started out as the special assistant to the general manager, and he's just moved his way in to helping with culture development, helping let the Latin players assimilate. But that just extended early, where he really focused on leadership, teamwork, communication, and is now working in the mental conditioning section with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I will just say to you, there's no one I know actually who is more relational than Mike Gonzalez. So I just want to celebrate you, brother. I'm so glad you're here. Mike also is an expert facilitator for the Game On curriculum when he has time, when he is able to rhythm and flow that way. Mike, good to see you, brother.
Like, man, it feels so good to be here with you, bro.
Yeah. I've been waiting on this for a while.
We have, man.
Yeah.
And then we're finally here, and just to be able to chop it up and to be able to talk about something that we both value.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Thanks.
So thank you for that cool introduction, man. I appreciate you.
So we always like to start with Laugh With by kind of asking our guests, what's something that's made you laugh? Because we like to think about Laugh With as more than just trying to be funny, telling a joke. Sometimes laughter just comes from just watching human beings engage and interact, and watching us engage and interact. What's made you laugh with in the last few weeks?
Man, that's funny because as a father, right, there's always a laugh with moment in the house. And right now, I have this 2-year-old boy. I mean, I have 2 sons, Justice and Titus. I got a 13-year-old and then Titus, the 2-year-old. And Titus has brought us so much joy, but it's just because of who he is.
Yeah.
And we've had so many laugh with moments, from recently my parents, him arriving home, my parents bought him a toy, and they're called farting ninjas.
Okay.
Farting.
Yeah, no, I heard you right. I want to make sure you said that. By the way, we're so in the wrong business. Like, there's people out there, they're creating this thing called farting ninjas, and they're going viral. And here we are, like, we got to create culture and communication. Leaders would be like, no, it's really just farting ninjas, isn't it?
And obviously, you know, in a boy's world, like,
Yeah.
why does farting make us laugh so much?
How about the combo of farting and ninjas? Go.
But so anyways, it's in the morning. He waited all night to show us these toys.
Mhm.
Justice and I got home late from baseball practice. And in the morning, actually that evening, my wife tells me, hey, he's been dying to show you these fart ninja toys that he's got. And first thing he did in the morning is show me this fart ninjas, and we had a blast with them. We were laughing together and all that. But then there was a moment where I'm feeding him cereal.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who's a parent, mornings could become hectic.
A little tricky.
You're trying to get out the door, you're trying to take care of all this stuff, etc. Everyone's dressed, everyone's ready to go, and I'm feeding him his last bits of cereal, and all of a sudden, as he's got cereal in his mouth and he's chewing, he sneezes right in front of my face.
Oh.
Cheerios. Cereal all over my shirt, all over my beard, all over my head. And Justice, Titus, and I look at each other, and we just laughed.
Let's go.
We just laughed. It's just one of those moments, like, yeah, this would happen right now.
Massive.
And then you look at Titus, and he's looking at you like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then Justice is looking at me like, how's Daddy gonna react? And we just laughed. We just laughed together from that moment. And that was one of the most recent moments where it was just a true laugh with, what are you gonna do about it? Let's just go.
By the way, another thing I want to encourage you about is you're such a good storyteller, man. You slow play it, you trust it, you don't try to rush it. What I love that you did is talk through a story where the laughter didn't come from some setup punchline joke, right?
Yes.
You could argue the laughter came from messiness.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack that.
Come on, man.
I know where we're going to
Yeah.
be. This is going to be a 5-hour podcast, all right? Buckle up.
I love it.
There's messiness involved, but what I love, and I want you to go with this a little bit, is that Titus at 2,
Yeah.
right? And think about the athletes you've worked with, okay?
Yeah.
At first, he was like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
So talk about how you and Jay, I call Justice Jay
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I love Justice, and I
Yeah.
earned the right, I hope, to call him
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah.
Talk about how you and Justice and your reaction affected Titus, because you could have reacted with kind of the antithesis of laughter, which is like, I don't know, shame,
Yeah.
anger, right?
Yeah, which is
He was waiting there going, ruh-roh.
yeah, which is human of us, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, and who knows in the past how I would have reacted. Um, but in that moment, I'm so grateful that I was able to react well because to your point, Steve, we make mistakes. Things happen. Life is challenging. You know, there's always gonna be a curveball. And here, while we're trying to rush out of the house, everyone's stressed, ready to go. Um, that happened. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where it's like, I know how I could have reacted, and I could try to find a way to justify it. And he's a 2-year-old kid.
Totally. That's what I thought about. Like, how can you blame a 2-year-old for sneezing cereal
Yeah.
all over his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes too, going back to, and I'm not trying to give a shout out to these farting ninjas by bringing them up so much.
We called it back. We already called back the
But
fucking
I think that like the morning starting off with laughter,
yeah.
the morning and the atmosphere already being just a little just chill and kind of like everyone's in a good mood, allowed the messy moment to still have a bit of humor,
That'll preach.
right? Like
Dude, say that again. Say that again, Mike. 'Cause it's so. I'm not kidding.
yeah.
Say that again.
It's just one of those things. It's like because you set the tone, like because the atmosphere was already set
Yep.
and everyone's just feeling good, everyone's fine. Even the messy moment, we were all able to find the humor in it. We were able to find the joy in it, laugh with one another. When there could have been a shaming moment, where there could have been a like, dude, what the, you know what I mean? And maybe there was a moment where it's like, yo, and then it's like pause. And even as a father in that pause, there's kind of like that moment of thinking, how do I react? I got my 2-year-old kid staring at me with waiting how am I going to respond. My 13-year-old waiting how am I going to respond. And then it leads to intentionality. I wanted to be intentional of like, man, what are we going to do?
Think about the impact obviously it had on Titus at 2, but think about also what you're sharing with Justice.
Yeah.
Because he's watching that as a 13-year-old. He's been what we call bar
Mistakes
mitzvah.
happen. Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I put that 13 bar mitzvah. Dropped in the Jewish
I'm
culture.
sorry for the late laugh. Like it hit me.
That's a laugh with, right? Speaking of culture,
Yeah.
¿cómo se dice permission en español?
Permiso.
Permiso.
Yeah.
So you're giving permission
Yeah.
to your 2-year-old. You're giving permission to Jay.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving permission to you
Yeah.
to like embrace the messy. So I do want to weave in a little bit. I mean, there's so many places we could go, Mike.
We could.
But having been born in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
comedy, laughter, reír con, see? Laugh with,
Reír.
reír con,
Reír con.
permiso. Like what does that sound like and look like from Puerto Rico in your culture? Because I'm really fascinated by humor and laughter and comedy and how it plays out in different cultures, man.
No, I agree. You know, it's funny because I think about, first of all, you're talking about Puerto Rico. There's something that happens to me when you just say that. I was raised there. I love my island. I love the culture that I come from. We are known to being a very festive.
Yeah.
You know, we're constantly celebrating something. You know what I mean? And you know, and it's fun because even culturally, like everyone knows, like there's always gonna be some day out of the week where a neighbor's celebrating something.
Wow.
You know, right there in the driveway, in the garage, or right there at the house. And there's, you know, a line of cars down the street, but everyone's always celebrating something. It could be something minimal, it could be something big. But we come from a culture that's very joyful, very just very motivated, very inspired to go out and live and enjoy what we have. But when it comes to laughter, I think it's funny too because culturally, you know, we try to find the humor in things. Even recently, I had a conversation with someone that even growing up, our nicknames.
You mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad you're going. This is interesting.
The way we grow up, like our nicknames is, I don't want to say humoring something, but it's pointing something out. Like, you know, I had friends as a kid growing up that their nickname was Gordo, which means fat, or Flaco, which means skinny. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like for me, you know, mine was Prietito, and I don't think I'm that, you know, dark, but my grandma would say I'm el Prietito de casa. I'm the dark one from the house. You know what I mean?
So do you feel like that's a laugh with, or is that something like, because if you didn't know any better, you think laugh at, but is that something that you're kind of like, it's almost like you're welcoming, they've earned the right?
Yeah, of
They've earned the
course.
right. That's it.
They've earned the right. That's part of, I don't know. It's something like everyone has some type of nickname, even like the girls, Flaca, and culturally, we're funny with our nicknames. We're constantly finding something funny to laugh about and to laugh with together. Obviously there's things culturally that and this is with everyone, that for example, for me culturally, when I think about laugh with, I'm gonna give you a scenario. I remember coming to the States and learning that culturally in America, sarcasm is something that is just part of the culture. Like a lot of Americans, they find funniness or humor, if funniness is even a word, they find humor in
Is
sarcasm.
sarcasm not a jam in Puerto Rico?
Man, so I'm not saying that there's not sarcastic people in Puerto Rico, but culturally, that's not something we vibe
That's
with.
fascinating. I think I've heard
Even
that.
and I think even in the Hispanic culture
Mm.
overall, will you find a Puerto Rican or a Colombian or a Venezuelan, a Panamanian, whoever, will you find one in a blue moon that is sarcastic? Yeah, but it's not common in our culture. In our culture, we're very, what you say, I'm gonna believe that is true. If you tell me, hey, there's waters down this aisle, if you're thirsty, I am going to really believe that there's waters down the
I
aisle.
think that's really important you say, though, because I do believe it's a Western thing, sarcasm, a little bit more than out there in the rest of the world. And we need to be aware of that.
Yes.
Someone who's been brought up in the States, we sometimes think our comedy can just transfer to another island easy. And that's not the case. That's
Not all the
fascinating.
time, man.
Yeah.
Not all the time. But I guess, to go back to coming from Puerto Rico, the laugh with, we try to find humor in everything.
Mhm.
And we try to find, fun and something to laugh about in everything. Sometimes, like in any culture and anything, it could go too far. But overall, there's always this intent of, man, let's have fun.
Why do you
Let's
think that
make
is?
light of it.
Why do you think it is that in the island there's a celebración? There's weekly. I mean, I went to your birthday party a couple
Yeah.
of months ago, man. It's hey, we're gonna hang out for 2 hours. Oh, 7 hours.
Yeah.
People are still there. People are rolling up. People are laughing. There's food. There's toast. There's prayer. There's kids throwing the football.
Yeah.
I was throwing the football.
Yeah, you were
Well,
slanging it,
We'll
man.
talk about that in a little bit. This is not about me.
Yeah.
I just showed my arm. Is what I did. I showed my arm.
He still got it.
I love that you finally went to camera. I love that you finally went to camera to talk about how I can still throw a football.
You can, bro.
Nevertheless,
I'm not lying.
why do you think that the laughter is so important? The celebración is so important in the island.
I don't want to go too deep, but it's
Go.
one of those things where it's like when you come from a place where there's not much, when and I could think about this, like there's been places where I go to where sometimes I'm like, man, how, like, the joy that people have, they don't even have that much, and the joy that they have, it impacts me.
Yeah.
And it hits me in a different way. And I think about our island, I think that naturally, culturally, we were known to be an island that really came from not much.
Yeah.
And people always found a way to find the good in life. Like, man, we're alive, we're breathing, we have each other. I was able to wake up and around my family. That's something worth celebrating. That's something worth, rejoicing about. Man, I have a job. I have food at the table. And I just think that naturally, culturally, we look around and we try to embrace the good, that is around us. Like, man, we have mountains, we have fresh air, it rains a lot in Puerto Rico. We have rain, though, that feeds our land, and there's always this mindset, or at least there's this intentionality of having a mindset of being grateful for what we do have. And believing that because we're grateful for what we do have, not only does it last, but it multiplies.
So good.
Kind of like laughter.
Yes, we were talking about this, Mike, but hold on. Before we even transition, man, what you just said is so powerful. I don't even want to verbally interrupt. I'm over here giving thumbs up to Mike because I'm just listening to you. The folks that have gratitude
Mm-hmm.
and folks that have appreciation.
Yeah.
Sometimes people that have less,
Mm-hmm.
I see them have more joy than those who have abundant life and privilege.
Mm.
The joy comes deeply. What you said I love was we got rain.
Mm-hmm.
People can be like, oh, it's so tired that it's raining,
Yeah.
or like, wow,
Yeah.
we've got rain.
Yeah.
So I love that, Mike. But you were saying,
Yeah. So for me, I just think, another thing that, and I don't know if this is culturally, I know you brought up my birthday party and why people celebrate. And I really think about it, especially the times that we're living in. And when you bring people together, it does something.
yeah,
Whether it's, hey, we're celebrating a baby shower, or we're celebrating, an engagement, we're celebrating someone graduating high school or college, or whatever brings people together. The busyness of life, sometimes sometimes we lack joy and we lack laughter because of the busyness of life.
yeah,
But when we're able to just disconnect from the hustle of life and just enjoy the people that bring us life, now joy is present. Now you feel comfortable. Now you feel kind of like at home. Like when you asked me earlier, what's a recent laugh with moment? Right away, I think about my kids, right? Because they give me so many laugh with moments. But and even just my family, like my wife. My wife loves laughing, and her laughter, it just does something to people.
Mm.
It's contagious. But someone that I naturally laugh with is my childhood best friend, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
And we could go weeks without talking.
Mm-hmm.
We could have spoken recently the day prior. We could go weeks or months not talking. But when we get on a phone call, or when we get, together, even phone call, from the moment he calls me or I call him and we greet each other, there's this laugh.
But no one's telling like a setup punchline
No.
joke, right?
No. And then you ask yourself, like, man, why is it so easy to laugh with someone like that? Well, it's because there's no judgment. There's no critique. There's a deep connection there. Like, naturally, when I hear his voice, it brings so many memories of things that we've had to live through, whether they're good or shaming moments, or moments where we were like, yo, we almost died. You know what I mean? But we're able to laugh about it now. There's just so many memories, so many things to reminisce on. But I think organically, it's just the time that we've had together, the relationship that's been built there, the organic. Man, there's no judgment, there's no critique here. I could truly be myself, and we could just laugh about anything. But just, I see those conversations where it's so easy to laugh with someone like that because you feel comfortable, you feel safe. And I think that when you gather family together, you gather, the neighborhood together, or anyone, friends, family, people that know each other together, there's this natural feeling of like, I could be myself here. I could laugh when, if someone, takes a sip of water and the water drips on their shirt, you feel okay laughing about that, or when, someone, is giving a speech. I don't know, like any little thing, or just giving each other a hug, like, man, I missed you. And you just start laughing because you think about the last time you guys hung out and how good it went.
That's wild to me that we're making a new definition of laughter. Hugging someone,
Yeah.
you laugh.
Yeah, because
Running up
it's
to
like,
someone that you haven't seen in a while, you laugh.
yeah,
Figuring out that you have something in common, you laugh.
yes.
Playing bibbidi bibbidi bop and saying, ¿Cómo se dice bibbidi bibbidi bop en español?
Bibbidi bibbidi bop.
Dude, remember we used to do that?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little
So-
bit because Mike and I want to get to the Pirates a little bit. I
Okay.
do. And you, because you talked about Jay and you looking at Titus and that moment where you could either get angry
Yeah.
or find joy.
Mm-hmm.
You had a decision.
Yeah.
Started with the father.
Yeah.
And I mean you, the father, but we know there's the father watching the father, and Justice is watching the father.
Come on. Yeah.
And you and Jay, starting with you, have a decision to make. You decide to go with joy. You decide to go with laughter, even though it's a little uncomfortable. And you're like, dang,
Yeah.
I'd rather not have this cereal all over my shirt. I'm assuming that as you started to pour into these young athletes with the Pirates, particularly at the beginning of your career 10 years ago with the Latin players, where were those moments that showed up? Obviously, you don't have a 19, 20-year-old shortstop sneezing cereal all over you, but metaphorically, Mike,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Because I know these young man, because we worked with them, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you interpreted Game On, because I'm fascinated by that. But talk to me about some of the cereal spills with some of the athletes, and we didn't prep this,
No,
so
yeah.
I'm giving you a little time to get your feet under you and think, like, when was these young men coming to you and you were like, man, I have 2 routes to go. I could clown them and shame them,
Yeah.
or I could be like, bro, I got you.
Yes.
I could see your
Oh,
wheels
man.
turning.
It's like, what am I allowed to share? What
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
can I
yeah,
not
yeah. Be
share?
cool about it. Be cool about it.
You know, it's funny because for me, I'm able to experience, oh man, and this goes even deeper, right? Like you have a lot of these international players, whether they're Latinos, whether they come from Korea or, Nigeria, wherever. A lot of these young men who are already, let's say, 18, 19 years old, all they've known is baseball.
Yeah.
And they a lot of them abandoned their education to be able to go pro, and all they know is baseball. So then when they come to the States, they see the States as such a big deal, like such a big, like, man, I went from playing in the Dominican Republic and the Dominican Republic League to I finally earned my opportunity to go play in the States. That then it's like you see that joy, that natural joy, change into seriousness. And it's like, man, I'm around a lot more American coaches. They understand that there's a cultural gap. They understand that there's also a language gap. There's a lot of things. So it's like you as a young person who hasn't been around this, hasn't all you've known is just, tryouts and showcase and training. Now you're in the States, you're playing around American ball players where now the language that's being spoken freely is a total different language. You don't know the language as well. You don't want to come off as a kid that's not taking this serious. You want to impress. You want to be able to show that you're committed. Oh, there's so many things that is like, now all of a sudden that joy and that smile becomes just a seriousness. And for me, it's you when when you have these athletes, you want them to become freed up.
Yeah.
You want them to be themselves. You want them, like, I always tell them, hey, know who you are, like who you are, be who you are. And I try to encourage them to, man, be who you are, be you. When you go out, you play shortstop, or you go out on the mound and pitch, man, be who you are. I'm not telling them to go out there and be a laughter or be a jokester. No, 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 no. Like, be who you are, because it's so important, because we get so caught up and I have to impress.
Yeah.
I have to show, and then on top of that, you're trying to get to know people, you're trying to connect with coaches, you're trying to learn the language. It's just hard. It's like all of a sudden that joy is being removed, that natural smile, that natural laughter. So then we're trying to bring it right back out of them so they could feel free. It's a game. Yeah, we're competing. Yeah, their production is involved. You have to, the results do, matter, but and etc. However, you're young. This is a process. You're here because of who you are, your talent. Don't put sugar on sugar. Don't put more weight than what you're meant to carry
Yeah.
on yourself. Instead, be you. Now, it's challenging because outside, how well have we prepared the atmosphere for them to be them?
Yes.
And that's where it gets challenging. We want them to be themselves. We want them to feel free to laugh, to be joyful, to come out to the field and compete with one another from a place of love and goodness and positivity. But when we've created an atmosphere where it's like boom, 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 but yet we want them to be themselves, that becomes challenging.
You're finding this tension, this balance between joy and seriousness.
Yeah.
And they both belong, right?
Yes.
They both belong in a
Both
high
belong.
stakes. These are professional athletes.
Yeah.
I think you said it beautifully, Mike. This they had the joy. They celebrate the rain. As the rain comes down, instead of going, oh no, I can't believe I'm being rained at.
Yeah.
They come in to the States. Now all of a sudden there's stakes that are high. There's money in play. There's fast talking, English speaking, quick, promotions, single A, double A, triple A, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we can swing the other way and then get too serious.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen young men go from joy to seriousness, and all of a sudden it affects their flow on the field, I'm sure.
Yes, 100%. And even to the point, like, hearing you say that, there's things culturally. Like, think about Game On.
Yeah.
Like, one of the rules of the games is celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Okay. there's things culturally that we've been taught or that we've learned throughout our upbringing, whether it's just naturally as a person or as a player in the game, to celebrate. When you move to the States, some of those things people don't want you to celebrate.
Like what?
You know what I mean? It could be a pitcher walking off the mound, and for him, it was such a big deal for him to execute that pitch that him and his coach have been working on for such a long time. And here he is in a pinnacle moment of needing to get that out, but he needs to throw that one pitch that he's been working on, and he's able to execute it, get his team out of the inning. He pounds his chest, maybe delivers a loud, ah, and that's shunned upon. That's like if someone grabs him in the dugout and tells him, hey, don't react like that again. And it just killed that moment for that kid. That's tough. That's tough to deal with. And then it's like, how do you readjust that? How do you clean that up? Because that energy, that mindset, that level of being able to dominate the moment, which is something you need that athlete to be able to achieve and overcome so that he could do it at the highest level, the big leagues. How do we clean that up where he goes back to that when the manager or the coach is telling him, hey, don't do that again?
It's a fascinating balance.
Yeah.
We want our athletes to be respectful. I quote that. But we have athletes that also show passion.
Yeah.
And you basically said it. People show passion differently depending on their culture.
Straight up.
Bro, so good.
Straight
I
up.
remember when we would work together with the Pirates, I'd come in and do Game On, and Mike would sometimes be the interpreter, which was stuff I'll never forget. But you know what? It reminded me as you were talking about some of the Latin players, sometimes when they did those talent shows,
Oh,
how funny those young men were. These are the young men that when we were teaching, if we didn't have an interpreter, they're not going to be as involved, because who in the world would be as involved if they don't speak the language? And you're already vulnerable because you're up on your feet, you're engaging, you're interacting. But dude, remember these talent shows where all of a sudden the Latin players
Yes.
gather and you'd be falling over? That was my favorite, to see that joy, that laughter, that unleash of passion.
because they were given the safe place to be there.
Permission.
They were given permission.
Permiso?
Permiso. They were given permission to be themselves. They were given permission, go man, take over the stage.
You know what fires me up is someone who speaks pretty fast, speaks one language,
Yeah.
and speaks it very fast.
Yeah.
Feels pretty comfortable talking out loud. I get frustrated sometimes, whether it's a Latin player, a Korean player, a Japanese player, a player from South Africa, and all of those players were existing in the Pirates organization and still do. They would be called shy or quiet sometimes.
Mm.
Oh yeah, he doesn't talk.
They
so
put that stamp on.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's not tracking as fast. And I'm not saying that anyone's saying that with ill intent.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, could you imagine if you all of a sudden went to the Dominican and all of a sudden you were the one that wasn't speaking the language? Let me tell you something. I did that. I went to the Dominican. Kyle got me to the Dominican years ago, and I remember thinking, wow,
Oh yeah.
everyone's talking really fast.
Oh yeah.
But me, I'm the one sitting back. You could argue when
And
you
they
come-
expect you to get it.
Yeah.
They
Look at
expect you
me
to
and they
figure
would
it out.
think, this guy's shy and quiet. I'm like, now I am.
Yeah.
Right now I am.
Come
Guess
on.
why? Because only thing I heard was cafe con leche. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
understood when you spoke.
I love that you brought that up because it reminds me of another story. Talking about culturally, talking about people being who they are. I remember this one coach writing off a player as insecure
Wow.
because when he would coach him or speak to him, the player would look down. And I remember, like, thank God that we knew who this player was, that we were able to clarify and stand up. But here we are in a meeting where we're making a decision over a player's career, over his life, and someone, because they didn't dig in deep enough to figure out, why is it that every time I look at you, you look down? Instead, they just saw it as, oh, that means that he's insecure. No, dig in deep.
What was the reason?
The reason is, when he was raised, his parents taught him that anytime an adult is speaking to you, you show them respect by looking down.
Yep.
Like you're submitting to what they're telling you to do. It's a form of respect. So that kid that you were writing off, that player that you were writing off as insecure, didn't believe in himself, couldn't even look at me in the eyes like a man, he was actually honoring you. He was actually respecting you because he was looking down. That's just what he was taught. That's what he knows. Okay? That's what he's been around. And we could go deeper into that, however, how if we really cared, let's say from a leadership perspective, and we see something that throws us off, instead of being quick to write someone off, no, I care about this person. We've invested in this person. We've believed in him so much that not only have we called him up to the States because he dominated the Dominican League, now he's up, being coached by American, coaches or, et cetera. I see the potential in this kid. I see the gift in this kid. I see how he could, help this team and help our organization. But I don't like this, or I don't understand this. Let me dig in a little bit deeper.
Help me understand.
Yeah, and that's where you easily, it's like, hey, so and so, let me ask you. Every time I talk to you, I see that you look down. Why do you look down? And if there's a language barrier, grab another coach or another player or a translator that can help you. And I'm sure in that moment, that kid would have been like, oh, I'm just trying to respect you. This is how I was taught to respect you. Now that coach would walk into that meeting and not only value everything that he knew that this kid brings, but on top of it would say, hey, by the way, when I speak to this kid, when I coach him, he always tries to demonstrate respect. But let me give y'all a heads up, it's in this form. So don't confuse it as this. And now you give the whole room. And not only did you bat for that kid and you set him up for success, but now you gave the entire room an awareness that now they could allow that kid to be himself. Or maybe we could even teach them, hey, culturally here, I understand that's how you were taught, but here you want to look at a person in the eyes to show them that, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm gathering the information. I agree.
Permiso.
Yeah, permission.
Man, Mike, it's interesting as you share this. I think about how this connects to Laugh With, and it does.
It does.
Because the end result, when you are honoring someone's culture, you ask a deeper question. By the way, it doesn't take weeks.
No.
Sometimes it does to earn the right, but sometimes it's just a 2-minute exchange by saying, hey, the look down thing is a little different. And then the young man, with an interpreter if possible, says, actually, let me clarify. 2 minutes can actually change the trajectory of a young man or young woman's career.
100%.
And then from that, you can be free and you can have flow and seriousness. And guess what? You can start to find the funny. You can start to find the laughter. You can start to find the joy. You can start to find the celebración. Because it's hard to find laughter when your guard is up and you're feeling shame. So it's just really interesting. It just reminds me, Mike, that Laugh With is not about being the funniest cat in the room. It's not about set up punchline jokes. It's not about let me come in and tell a joke that I've memorized, that I've read or I've watched on YouTube, some comedian. Kind of last thing I want to chop up with you is this idea, and you started to talk about it a little earlier, just the idea of laughter's infectious. And this is where maybe it kind of crosses cultures. Because there's sort of a unifier that I've at the end of the day, we always say in Game On, you've been seeing this for 10 years, like everyone loves to laugh. We may do it in different ways.
Yes.
But laughter's contagious, yeah?
It is
You see that?
contagious.
You've been in the locker room. You've been in the dugout for over a decade. Man.
Yeah. Laughter is definitely contagious. And that's why I think when you create an atmosphere where people could feel free to be themselves, now you've allowed an atmosphere for joy to be contagious.
Yeah.
For joy to be available and open to anyone and everyone. I wanted to actually ask you something, Steve, in this regard, because the more that we talk about laughter and Laugh With, I gotta ask you, you've had so much experience in teaching Laugh With. You've had so much experience in leading people to learn and to embrace that muscle of laughing with others. Do you believe that emotional intelligence matters when it comes to laughter?
Yeah. And the question you asked me would not be answered as clearly without having this 40-minute conversation prior, just so you know, man, because you are such a gifted teacher. And I will answer it. I'm not just going to deflect and try to be an encourager with the encourager.
No,
then we'll just be ping-ponging back and forth.
Yeah.
You talked about it, and you this emotional intelligence, which is a very important term that we need to define, this idea of awareness. plays because you have to understand where you are, and who you're with.
Yeah.
Where you are. Am I in West Covina, my hometown? Am I in Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Who am I with? Am I with a young man from Korea where that culture is very reverential
Mm-hmm.
and the look down potential, the posture, you see it with Shohei Ohtani
Yeah.
and that level of respect. And if he's looking at it from a Western lens, you could be like, that kid is passive.
Come on.
That kid is quiet and he's timid. He could end up being the greatest baseball player to ever play.
Come on.
And then you have maybe the Latin player who's going to pump his chest, and both are beautiful and both are good as long as they're coming from a good place. I say it all to say you need to be aware of culture. You need to be aware of what you're bringing to the table. You need to be aware of language.
Yeah.
And you need to be aware of who else is in the room.
Come on.
And when that is in play, I think you have a better chance for permiso,
Yes.
to laugh with. And you're going to miss sometimes, just
yeah.
like a pitcher's going to miss throwing a strike. But yeah, take it all in. Good comedians will know who's in the audience,
Mm-hmm.
what time of day it is. Good comedians, and I only use this because it is a nice model. Don't model everything a comedian does on the stage because they're pros, but we can borrow from the pro. Good comedians, good performers, good storytellers know the difference between a Friday night show, a Saturday night show, a Sunday matinee show. They know the difference between that because you have to be aware of who's coming in. They need to know the difference between a younger audience and an older audience. So to answer your question, yeah, that emotional IQ
Come on, man.
is extraordinary when you're dealing with laughter.
And I asked you that, and you nailed it. That word aware, that awareness matters so much when it comes to laugh with, because as I'm sharing these stories, and I have thousands going through my head that I could share. I know we're limited in time,
Okay.
but of just the awareness of who are you trying to laugh with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are there some gaps? You know what I mean? And is it the right time to laugh with? Like you said, there's going to be moments that you miss. You know what I mean? There's going to be things that happen that caused you to miss that, whether it's a language barrier, whether, there's the cultural, gap, whether it's, man, this person just had the roughest morning.
If you don't pick that up, which takes awareness, you could try to force a joke, and that could turn that person from joy to shame.
And then blame that person.
Yes.
Oh, man, this guy, you can't joke with him. Oh, he takes everything the wrong way, or she takes, things the wrong way, or, man, they don't know how to take a joke. Well, hold up, man. When you chose to deliver that joke and when you chose to be funny, do you know what that person was going through?
We talk about know where they're coming from and where they're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments you're going to be able to land it. You know what I mean? And that's the true laugh with moment. But I also want to encourage people, like, even if you're trying to set the tone for laughter, be okay if it's not the right time to laugh.
Yeah. I think some of the best jokes are the ones that are never said.
Come on.
And I think the big thing for me, too, to go back to that question is don't define laughter as doing a setup punchline joke. That's like really, really hard, by the way. And oftentimes it doesn't land authentically. Just my big note, and then I'll toss it back to you, Mike, is like also just earn the right.
Earn the right.
One, you were with Young Life when we first met over 12 years ago, and that's one of the phrases they use. Earn the right to do life with people. Earn the right to give someone feedback. Earn the right to share an opinion. Earn the right to laugh with. Because to your point at the beginning of the podcast, you talked about the nicknames, and it was a little bit tricky. Like some of those nicknames, I'm like, whoa. But I promise you this. No one's coming up to you early without knowing you and labeling you with a nickname. And if they did, you wouldn't receive that.
Yes.
And if the nickname was a little bit controversial, a little bit like shameful, if they do that early and they haven't earned the right, then that actually can fall really flat and you will disconnect from that person. So in order for us to connect, whether it's in Puerto Rico with your family, they've earned the right to do those. It's kind of what you almost could argue is a laugh with.
Yeah.
But they've earned the right to quote our mutual friend Kyle Stark. He likes to say, I like to do a 90-10. 90% laugh with, and then if you earn the right, you can 10% laugh at. But if you start laugh at early, that relationship doesn't progress because guard goes up. Person's called shy. They're not shy. They just got made fun of and they don't feel safe. So you're looking at a fake X-ray.
Come on.
back to what you said, that moment, that pivot, and I'm going to put you on the spot, man, because you're so gifted. That pivot moment when Titus sneezes the cereal
Mm.
and you are there and Jay is watching his father
Mm-hmm.
and you are so connected to our Father,
Yeah, come
which
on.
is what gives you discernment, and you make the decision to laugh with. What would you say to those folks that are listening and watching Laugh with Mike Gonzalez? And I'm not looking for anything wildly radical. What is that good to do, Mike?
Mm.
What's your good to do left of that situation, meaning bang left of that situation? Because that doesn't just happen overnight, Mike. You don't just all of a sudden become the father who's honoring the father while Jay is watching the father.
Yeah,
So,
come on.
what is it that we can do that's accessible, that we can take away? So, maybe when that cereal sneeze occurs, that messiness occurs, that frustration occurs, that someone cutting you off occurs, the audience member who asks a weird question occurs, the
Yeah.
PowerPoint's not set up occurs, the game gets rained out occurs. What is your takeaway that allows us to be in a grounded spot to make the right decision?
Yeah. I mean, we could go many routes, but overall, I believe it's the understanding and the awareness of it's bigger than you. It's not always about you, you know? And for me, when it comes to raising kids, when it comes to leading men, leading teams, coaches, players, my own family, my own friends, I think what's helped me find the best response, find the best way to not only react but to treat others is recognizing that it's bigger than me. It's if I would have made that moment about me with my son, I would have missed the mark. If I would have made, that moment with a player about me, I would have missed the mark. It's bigger than me. And I think that when we approach life, man, laughter is beautiful, laughter is powerful. Laughing with is even more beautiful and even more powerful because now you're enjoying it amongst someone more than you. But overall, I believe that when we approach life recognizing that this is beyond me, that's when we actually start not only being present, but we actually start allowing ourselves to be impactful. Because now I'm providing another person an ear. I'm providing another person someone who cares. I'm providing another, and now that person feels not alone. They feel supported. Just in life in general, when you approach life as, man, this is bigger than me, you start realizing the perspective becomes clear. You start realizing, even for example, you brought up something like someone cutting you off. Come on, man. Like I ride motorcycles. I, you know, I drive a vehicle with my family in it. There's nothing more that irritates me than someone texting and driving or someone recklessly driving. And those are moments that I have to realize or that I've taught myself to recognize. I could go off. I could drive past this person. I could become vulgar. I could try to show them how frustrated I am. However, man, I'm grateful that person didn't hit me.
And you got people watching you in
And
the
I got
car.
people watching me.
Yeah, it's so good.
And it's just one of those things, like, they're going through their own thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've even I've even just out loud just been like, God bless that person.
Hmm.
God take care of that person.
That's hard to say, but it frees you and it frees them.
But then I see my own sons now doing that. Now there's moments where someone cuts me off, and look, I'm not perfect at this. I don't want anyone viewing this as, there's moments, like even going back to the cereal thing, how many moments did I miss? But because I missed those moments, I'm now able to react better because I was able to realize, like, man, I overreacted in that moment. Now I'm able to make the adjustment and react well, where it's an overall growth moment for everyone. And the same thing, how many times in my vehicle have I overreacted or have I allowed my emotions to get the best of me? What have I taught the people around me? What did I do to that moment? What did I do to myself? Because I've been able to become aware of how that impacted me and others, now I'm able to respond better to the point where, and I say this thankfully, like sometimes my 13-year-old would already be saying it before me. God take care of that person. You know what I mean? There's times where we drive by a situation, my son's like, man, God bless those people right there. And I listen to that, I'm like, man, that's the power of how we influence others. That's the power we have, where we can make an impact in someone else. Where now there are now me me teaching myself how to respond and react better has now taught someone else how to respond and react better. Where now these situations that I've gone through in my life that have taught me how to react and respond better are teaching my son, when he goes to school and faces his own experiences, how to react and respond better.
Come on, man.
And and again, we're not perfect, but when you are intentional about growing from your circumstances, learning from your situations, learning how do I deal when this comes back around, when this curveball comes back at me, how do I attack this curveball better? When this situation happens, I didn't like the way I reacted. How do I respond better? And you know what's funny, that those moments actually create more laugh with than no laughter at all.
So good, brother. Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something, Steve. There's It's funny because when we talk about laughter, um, and I remember when you teed this up for me, I there's something that crossed my mind that I'm sure there's a lot of people viewing that probably could relate, and it's how much we miss laughing, how much we miss laughing with. It could even be with a stranger at a grocery store line. It could be, whatever, but just the ability to laugh with. And I feel like world today, society today has created so much seriousness, so much I don't trust people. I don't know how I'm gonna rub this person. I don't know how to, and we're so careful of how we react and respond that we miss opportunities to laugh with.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that we're creating a world where people are missing the joy and the beauty of laughter.
Yeah.
And if we're missing the joy and the beauty of laughter, imagine the joy and the beauty of laughing
I love it, Mike.
with one another. So I guess my overall encouragement, and I say this to myself first, is remember that this is beyond you. Remember that there's so much power in people's stories and what they've gone through. Everyone brings something. Everyone brings some type of value to the table. Can you be aware of that? Can you be aware of your own? And can you allow yourself to be who you are and allow other people to be who they are? Someone drops a ball. It's okay. I've dropped the ball before too. You know what I mean? Someone sneezes in your face. I've sneezed. I've sneezed where I've spit something out and I didn't mean to as well. So why am I going to point that out in you? Why am I going to make you feel horrible about that when I've done the same and who knows, even worse?
Yeah.
And when you approach people with that level of empathy, when that level of emotional intelligence, now you've truly made yourself available and others to enjoy laughter.
Man, I appreciate you so much, Mike. Yeah. Come on.
I love
Puerto Rico. I love you for Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Great into
To the 813, to now the 941.
to Latte Luna Cafe on Manatee Avenue 12 years ago when we sat down and I said, Mike, man, you're so gifted.
Come on.
You're so gifted. Yeah. That's Laugh with Mike Gonzalez. That's authentic. That is real. That is a father being a great father, being a great leader.
Try.
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. Hey, those of you listening and watching, you can check out Laugh With Podcast at the links up there, down there, wherever they are. You'll find them. And it is such an honor to be with someone that is so gifted with relationship and connection, and a dear, dear friend, man. Because you speak life in others, I speak life into you, my friend.
Please. Thank
Let's go. That's it. Laugh with Mike Gonzalez. Thanks for checking us out. Love you, brother.
you. Love you too, man. Thank you.